As I was saying, I would like to welcome you to this workshop. And this is the first Train the Trainers workshop that will be completed with 2 additional sessions during the next week, with the aim of sharing with experts like you the training material that has been developed during the project in the last 2 years or 2 years and a half. We hope to see you in the next workshops. That would be interesting as well. And in the next hour and a half, we will show you several BIM tools that have been used in BIM-Speed projects case studies, and we would like to get your feedback from this training material in order to improve it for the next times. Now I will share just a short welcome presentation with some advice for this meeting. Let me share my screen. Okay, so as I was saying, this is the first session from 3 sessions. Just before we start, please ensure your microphone is muted, so the person that will be talking will be more comfortable without noises. Ensure your camera is off during the presentations to have a good connection. You can use the chat box from questions during the presentation, and this meeting will be recorded as I have told you before. You have useful material that you can consult or you can check. You can check the BIMSpeed YouTube channel, where you will see quite a lot of videos, and as well we have a training material section in our website, in BIMSpeed website, that you can check as well. And there will be most of the material that will be shared during these next workshops. And just the agenda at a glance, right after this presentation, Andre van Delft from Demo will explain the BIM-Speed project. Then Nicola Pastorelli from CSTB will explain BIM-Speed platform. Gerson Alexis Pinzon from TU Berlin will talk about the multi-criteria decision-making tool. BIM maturity tool will be explained later by Josephine Cook from PB40, and finally Jos Nordsey will explain inhabitants tool from Demo. As you can see, after every tool presentation, there is a time slot for Q&A. You can please feel free to write your questions in the chat box in any time during the presentations or in that Q&A time slot. Larissa De Rosso from ACE will play the moderator role from now on. And we really appreciate your attendance to this workshop and hope that it will be useful for all of the participants. And now, without further delay, I turn over the floor to Andre van Delft from Demo, that will make a brief explanation about the BIM-Speed project.
Thank you very much, David, for this clear introduction to this workshop. What I will do is I will give you a very brief introduction to the BIM-Speed project. And as you can imagine, the project is, and just checking, I think that everybody can see my screen, right? Yeah, yes. Okay, great, yes. Great. Like I said, the project is like 4 years, so it's quite difficult to explain it in 10 minutes, but I will give it a try for those who are not familiar at all with BIM-Speed yet. And today, for especially train the trainers, I have chosen this picture. I think you all know him, or at least I do hope that you know him. Ronald Koeman, active at Barcelona in Spain. They were just before the cup final in Spain. What was it, last week? At that moment, they were still both smiling. I think at the end, after the match, only Ronald Koeman was smiling. I do not know whether the trainer Koeman trained the other trainer or not, but It is more as a metaphor to see having these conferences with all kind of professionals, etc. That is a way of knowledge transfer and to train ourselves. So who is we? The BIM-Speed Consortium consists of 22 partners. Normally, Timo Hartman would be here, because he is the professor at the Technische Universität Berlin and the coordinator of this project. We as DEMO are the technical coordinator, and Timo had other obligations, so therefore I am stepping in today and taking an opportunity to present it in a slightly different way. I will not go through all the different partners, but in general, it is, I think, a quite good mixture of different kind of organization. 8 small medium enterprises, large industry, research organizations, and higher education institutions, together with one public body and the umbrella organizations, the 4 non-profit professional associations with scope all over Europe. If you want to know more about the consortium or the partners, please take a look at the website, which I will recommend you anyway, because I think there is a lot of useful information about the background, the theory, but also what we are developing, how you can enter the community and practice all the actualities, etc. So what is the background and rationale behind BIM-Speed? As you might know, in the EU, the building sector accounts for approximately 40% of the energy consumption and 36% of the CO2 emissions, which is quite a lot. And to add to that, we must know that most of our existing residential buildings have reached the age for renovation because 90% were built before 1990, 40% of those buildings were built before the issue of building energy performance standards, and 75 of all the buildings are 75% are residential buildings. So on the one hand, it consumes a lot of energy, and on the other hand, we do see that it is quite old. And on the one hand, you could say that the quality and the energy performance is not so good due to that fact. On the other hand, we could say there's a lot of room for improvement. So that is the good news. So when we started to draft this proposal a couple of years ago, we defined 3 main objectives for BIM-Speed. And the first one is to enable all the stakeholders to adopt BIM, to reduce primarily the time of deep renovation by 30%. Secondly, providing an affordable BIM cloud platform, tools and standardized procedures, and that's how we came up with the name BIM-Speed as well. It is more or less like a highway. And the third one is creating and implementing renovation solutions with a guaranteed energy performance. So you could say that the first 2, they are more process related or providing the conditions. And the third one is for the actual goal, energy saving, making it more sustainable. So what is the vision behind BIM-Speed? The official title or motto is that BIM-Speed proposes a harmonized building information speedway for energy efficient renovation. Not only just a simple highway where we are like real technicians trying to improve the technological speed, etc., providing dedicated tools. No, it is something else. It is more like creating an ecosystem, creating a platform where different tools that are changing quite rapidly and that are used in different environments can work together. So it is, well, to use another metaphor, is like driving on a circuit where the conditions are shaped and where all kind of cars with different purposes can drive together by following certain protocols. So what is the concept and approach? Why do we need this speedway? What do we use it for? Well, in general, we start with collecting and understanding the data of the existing building. So what is the situation as is? We create BIM passports, family and library of existing building stocks. So in order just to digitize what we often say, what is out there in the field, what kind of buildings, how can we digitize it in order to do all kind of analysis with it. Because thirdly, we have the BIM renovation solutions that we want to integrate in that existing real estate while refurbishing. And we want to optimize it, of course, when we integrate it to that. Then subsequently, a holistic performance and sustainability assessment, because it wouldn't make sense to just apply something. Of course, you want to really check what is the best, what is the optimal solution before starting the real engineering, the procurement, and the real implementation, etc. And then finally, once it is constructed, once it is commissioned, then you start to use it. And then we want to also check and monitor. So in other words, BIM facility and asset management. And more detailed, and I won't go through it all, but for the first step, for example, we want to model it as built, doing it by the data acquisition for the structure, the layout, materials, thermal aspects, but also having a focus on the HVAC and other environmental and GIS data. Again, I won't go through it all. This presentation will be provided as well, so at another moment when you have a bit more time, you can take another look to it. Right now, the purpose is to get you more acquainted with the overall approach. So that was the approach, but what are the use cases? What can you use BIM for? What we do realize that more and more people and organizations are starting to use it, but it's not that long ago that people were still wondering, well, why should I do it? And what is the purpose and what is the need? Within BIMSpeed, we have defined quite some use cases, and this tree, as we call it, the use case tree, that is still expanding. So on the one hand, you could say, well, it's quite a lot, it's too much, but we made it easy accessible in order to dig in, to zoom on a specific topic, and there you can check your use case and see for your own organization or project if it is useful and how you can use it.
André, you have 2 minutes.
I'm almost there, but thank you, Larissa. Is it available for everybody? Well, more or less it is, but as we know, we are not equally mature. So in this the trainer session today, there will be explained something about how to assess the maturity level for the organization and the project. Interoperability. A lot of tools, different tools with native standards as well. They need to communicate. We have to use some protocols, and therefore we are using several ontologies, IFC, GBXML, CDGML, again, just to make all the applications communicate with each other without having difficulty and cumbersome processes. It all will be facilitated by the BIMSpeed platform that will be explained after my presentation by Nicola. And this ecosystem, this platform that enables all these different tools that you can see here to work together. And as a user, you can just simply pick one and choose for your own purpose. Within the project, we are applying it to several demonstration cases all over Europe with several focuses for each of the demonstration cases. That is very useful for us to see whether it's functioning or not. But it's also very useful for the scale up, because at this moment we are a little bit over 50% of the lead time. So we are right here. It was kicked off in 2018, and at the moment we have launched the BIM Competition, where and there is this meeting today for organized, where we want to provide all the participants with useful tools, but also with clear instructions and presentations. So we are not, fortunately, we are not at the end of the project. So the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is yet to come, because we have developed, we have organized it, we have validated, but now we are really implementing it and striving for a good scale up all over Europe. I guess it was exactly 2 minutes, Larissa, or not? But
Yes.
this is, yeah, okay. I'm of course more than happy to answer any questions, but maybe it's good to save them for the end of the presentation, unless you think differently, Larissa.
No, we can move on to Nicola's presentation.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Try to share my screen. Maybe I will. All right. Everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let me just, I take off the video to be sure that we have more bandwidth. Here we go. Okay, so as Andre explained, I will focus in this presentation on the integration platform itself, the platform that will be used to conduct the BIMSpeed projects and to call all the BIMSpeed services. So this is an overview of the platform. At the core of the platform, we have a collaboration suite, which makes it possible to exchange documents, to create tasks, to share agendas. There is also a chat embedded, which is available, and video conferencing tool, which is available as well for people to communicate together in the BIM renovation project. On the top of that, we have some process supporting services. We have a central authentication, which makes it possible for user to get connected and to connect all services together. We have some kind of services store where we will embed more and more BIMSpeed services. And we have created some kind of automations on folders, which make it possible to create folders which are instantiated with some content and some automations. And there will be videos about that later. There are also some enabler services which has been designed during the BIMSpeed project, like there is a weather service, there is a GIS service which makes it possible to retrieve information based on the location of your renovation project, and some material services to improve the description materials for simulation purposes. And then the last layer is are the BIMSpeed services themselves, designed and created by all the BIMSpeed partners. We have some IoT-related services. We have Scan2BIM, BIM2BAM, a lot of them, and we are even in connection with some interior ecosystems like the SIP partner ecosystem. So today, my 10 minutes intervention will be only about the collaboration suite, and some other videos will explain other services later. And of course, there will be as well a competition, you know that, and the competition is some kind of extension of a store, so that when you enroll the competition, you have a special set of services, which are the pink services here designed by the BIMSpeed partners. So if you want to use this platform, you have to know that the platform itself is based on the Croquis platform, which is a French platform designed by CSTB for the French government to help SMEs to better use BIM projects. And the process to go to the BIMSpeed project and BIMSpeed competition is the one which is showed here. First of all, the user will need to create a user account on croquis.fr. Okay, then I will present you this later. Then when you have created a user account, which is the login password, which makes it possible for you to use the platform, you need to create a workspace. So you can give it whatever name you want, like mycompany.croquis.fr or myproject.croquis.fr, as you want. This is a workspace, and in this workspace, you can create different projects, as many projects as you want, depending on the number of renovation projects which you are conducting. And what you need to know at some point when you are at that step, enrolled in the Croquis platform, you will need to trigger the enrollment service to BIM-Speed Competition, okay? And this enrollment will makes it possible for you to have a free plan for the competition, to use all the features of the platform, to have a BIM-Speed branding, and as well to get the service pack from BIM-Speed partners. And then the user and yourselves will be able to use the platform and to use the BIM-Speed services. On the collaboration suite, the collaboration suite itself has some features for user management, so you can manage users and enroll them in the platform. You can you can take a look at define the folder access rights for every user. There is document versioning, so it works almost like Dropbox or Google Drive, for instance. You just have to drag and drop document and synchronize them with the platform. You can comment on documents. You can securely share them. There are some simple workflows also embedded in the platform where you can ask for validation on documents. You can view online some documents as well, like PDF or Word documents and things like that. And you've got a file sharing application. As I said, it is like Dropbox, a local drive application which synchronizes your local folders with folders in the cloud. So very easy to use. Regarding collaboration, you have discussion threads, which makes it possible to discuss in a thread like you do with Slack, for instance. You've got some video conferencing options, some task management, calendar and meetings organization system, and a central authentication system. And on top of that, you've got some basic Croquis services which were provided and which are still available for BIMSpeed users, like a file naming service, which makes it possible to force the fact that some files are in certain folders are named in a certain way or to deliver them. And there is integration of the CSTB FBIM laptop application, which is a laptop to view and manipulate IFC files. So this application, you can download it from the BIMSpeed platform and use it locally if you want. And it's connected to a platform to retrieve documents. And of course, on the top of that, there is the integration of all the BIMSpeed ecosystems, like the enabler services and all the services provided by partners, and some of them will be presented later today. Last slide before I show you very briefly the platform. There are different types of user profiles in the platform. If you create a workspace, okay, you are the administrator, but you can define several administrators. So the administrator is some kind of god inside his own workspace, meaning that he can create managers and he can create users. So when you are an administrator, you can create any project you want. You can add and remove users as you want and define the rules for these users. Now the manager can create also people who are administrators. The administrators, they have the right to create their own project. They can create several of them. And on every project, they can invite users and provide the access to these users. And finally, the last type of user that you can be is just be a regular user, meaning that you are invited by a manager or an administrator inside a project, and you can do only things which are allowed by the administrator or by the manager for you to do in the project. Okay, so let's take a look at the platform. Everything will start by going to croquis.fr, okay? And if you go there, as I told you, first thing you need to do is to create an account as a user. So you will go there, and from there, you will have to register. Sorry, my browser is in French, so it's written in French. So you provide first name, last name, some information. Some of them are not mandatory, and then you are able to create a login and password to get access to the Croquis platform. Once you have done that, you can go to the login section of the website here, and then you will be able to get connected with the credential which you have created, and get connected to the platform. Okay. So this is the case here. I have been connected as Nicolas. Okay, let's switch to English. So I can still modify my profile and I can take a look at all the workspaces that I own or workspaces I've been invited to, okay? Because when I have a login, if I get invited on several projects, I can see all the projects which I own, all the workspace on which I'm supposed to work on. So as Nicolas here, pastori.at cstb.fr with this login, I can create any workspace I want here. I can create a new workspace, okay? And I've got the list here of all the workspaces I am involved in. So some of them I have created them myself, and some of them as a user, I was invited by the partners to take part in this project. So from this screen here, which is my.croquis.fr, I can see all the available workspaces for me. And I will enter one of them, which is the BIMSpeed workspace, which we have created for our own partners project. And it will give you a first vision of how our platform is working. So in this case, this is BIMSpeed.croquis.fr because we have created this workspace for our team, but you can create any type of workspace you want with your name, with the name of your company and whatever it is, and you will get connected there. And from there, you can create several projects with a button creation here. I am an administrator, so I can create a project and I can create any user. I can invite any user I want in the platform. So I just provide first name, last name, email, write a small message. I have to tell whether this guy is just a regular user, a manager, or an administrator. I add him to the platform and it's done. I mean, the guy will be there. So I can create different projects. I've got a lot of them in this workspace. And for every project, I can define the list of the people who are invited in these different projects. So as manager, once again, and who are the guys invited there, and I can edit their rights, for instance, to say whether Fernando, for instance,
Yes, I have no sound as well. I think we lost Nicolas. Nicolas, can you hear us? Okay. Yeah, I think we lost him. Yeah. Okay. We can jump to the next present. Okay, Nicolas is here again. Great. Hi, Nicolas.
Yeah, sorry, I think there is a network issue. I just switched to the phone.
Yes, yes.
Where did you lose me?
You were introducing the workplace and talking about the users assignment.
Okay. So I was there, right? Oh, sorry, I didn't share my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. I was there, was I?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I was saying that you have different projects, and on every project you can manage the users. Okay, click on that icon, and you can define any users which you want to invite there from that place as well, and define the rights of each of them. So, for instance, here Fernando isn't manager, but he has access to the communication channel, to the documents, to the task, and so on. Okay, so if I get inside a project, you can take a look at all these features that I told you about. The first one is what we call channel. It's like a Slack. It's something that you can a place where you can chat and share important information with all the teams. You have a document document part where you can push and a user have some folders and import documents either from the web interface or from the drive synchronization system I just told you about. You have a task management system. It's almost like a Trello where you can organize tasks and assign tasks to some of the users. And you've got two folders, two applications here to manage the shared calendar and appointments. So this one is about having a shared calendar. And if you create a task with a certain date, it will appear in the calendar here. And this is the meeting system is meant to find the best time slots to have a meeting. It's like a doodle, for instance, meaning that you create proposition for users and they answer, and finally you find the right date for everyone. You've got some kind of reporting here, which shows how the task inside your project. There is a last activity, which is very interesting, the activity in the platform. So you can see who has downloaded what and who has accessed which document. And finally, very important, you have a set of services which you can access from there inside your project. So you've got all the services provided by the BIMSpeed ecosystem will be there. Okay, because I have switched this project. I've switched it from a Croquis project from a BIMSpeed project, as if I were enrolled inside a BIMSpeed competition. So I've got a specific logo for that. And I've got a specific set of services, which are all the services provided by the BIMSpeed partners. And there will be more and more services along the way till the end of a project. Okay, so inside of a project, you've got all these services which are available. And here in the left pane, sorry, you've got some transversal services, like the fact that you can go, of course, to the main dashboard at any time. You can take a look at any types of document across your workspace. So if I look at all the IFC files, I can find them here. I can see all the notifications also across all the, not inside one project, but across all the project, what has been said or what has been exchanged from this panel here. I can take a look at all the people who are connected. So I can have a video conference with them, or I can chat with them if required. And I've got the chat. Also, the chat is available here as a standalone application if I want to chat with people who are connected inside this workspace. As well, for what we call airtime, it's a web conferencing system. So if you want to have a chat with anyone, it's very easy. You just launch here and copy this URL here and share it by mail, and everyone can get connected. So it's web-based. It works on any platform. Even if some people have Linux or things like that, it will work. So it's very convenient for communication. Okay. Finally, you can send a message from there, and down there you can get the different applications like the drive, if you want to synchronize locally, and the AFBIM application from CSTB if you want to manipulate IFC files as well. And it's a desktop application which you can download from there and which is integrated with a platform. Okay, Larissa, I think I've said most of the things which were required, and
okay, I have. We can move on to the Q&A questions right now. So, or do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't have anything else. I think later there will be maybe more content to be provided, but for what I was supposed to present today, within the time frame, I think it's okay. Okay,
we have questions from Henry. I don't know if you would like to ask the questions, or should I read? If Henry would like to ask, please turn on your microphone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this great presentation. It's really a great tool. I just have two minor questions. After you define the roles, for example, manager initially, can you change that role later on to an administrator, for example?
Yes, you can. If you are a manager of, this is my workspace here, okay, BIMSpeed. As a manager, if I am the administrator, sorry, I can go to users, right? I can take a look at all the users who are connected here. If I click on Mark here, for instance, I can change Mark from administrator to regular user if I want.
Okay.
And that's done. Yeah, yes, you can. And you can create groups as well. Here, you can create groups and assign people in groups and assign specific roles to groups so that it is easier to add someone to a group and then by cascade, I would say everyone inheritates all the rights from this specific group.
Okay. My second question concerns control of editing rights or hiding projects. Just building on what you said with groups. I am in academia. For example, if I were to give an exercise to students, I may want to split them into groups. But because I don't want them to know what others are doing, because they could have access to see, can I restrict viewing, for example, editing, for example, that maybe group A doesn't see what group B is doing, and then group B does not see what group A is doing. Then inside the group, can I also say that I'm the only one that has the right to edit, for example?
Yes, yes, you can. I mean, if you want to achieve that, there are several ways. Okay, first of all, you can create different projects. Okay, project with here the people from group A, and here the project with people from group B, for instance. This is a first way to do that. But if these guys are sharing the same project, inside a project here, you have different folders. Okay, like making and so on. And from this icon here inside the project, I can manage the access. And I can say for Nicolas Pastorelli, but if I was a group here, I could take the name of a group. For this guy here, I remove the access on the making folder and on the mapping folder, for instance. So what you can do is that once again, inside the project, if you have different folders with this access management system, you can access very finely grained on every folder the access for a specific group or specific users. So it will be possible for you to have one project and the group A has access to the making the folder and the group B has access to the mapping folder. And when one of these guys get connected, they don't see the other folder because they don't have access to it.
Okay, thank you. My last question, really last one. How is this one really last one? I don't want to take it from all the others. How is it aligned? Because you seem to be managing documents here and also projects. How are you aligned to ISO 19650?
Right now we are, I think, yeah, I know. We will work on that. Right now it's just a regular collaboration suite to exchange documents. We haven't implemented yet some automations to get aligned with the specification. We think about that very hard to do it in the future. And it's based on the automation system which we are designing inside the BIMSpeed platform. So I think we will be able later to have these kind of features, but right now it's not available.
Thank you, Martin.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a very short question from Giampiero Relini. Giampiero, would you like to ask? It's about translation.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Just to know if do you have in plan to make available the platform in other languages than French and English? Thanks.
Yes. Yeah, it's in the roadmap. I don't know whether we'll be able to do it during the BIMS project because it's more a research project than a production project, even if we have a quite high TRL, I think. But we need to focus right now on the BIM features and not on the translation features, I would say. So it's definitely in a roadmap, but once again, I cannot promise that it will be done within the 2 remaining years of the project. So right now, of course, if you are not French, you have to work in English mostly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we are already a little bit delayed, so let's move forward.
Sorry, that was my fault.
No,
my network, actually.
No worries. Let's go to the Gerson presentation. Gerson, please.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Let me share my screen here. So. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, a bit about the BIM-Speed some introduction of the tool.
Gerson, I think
So what's the idea?
your connection is really poor. Yeah, everyone can switch off the cameras, perhaps. Gerson, could you try once again?
Yes. So let me turn off my camera. Maybe that helps. Now, do you see the screen?
Yes, and your voice is much better. Yes.
Okay. I was saying the idea of the methodology is to guide the selection of a suitable renovation solution in the context of residential buildings. So we would like to support the stakeholders to define the objective of the project, to establish the relevant criteria, to define different alternatives, and to capture the preferences of different stakeholders to make a more informed decision to select the final renovation solution that is implemented at the end. So the purpose of the methodology is to provide the stakeholders with a framework to engage different stakeholders during the process to to implement or to encourage the stakeholders to apply a sustainable approach, and economic elements, to facilitate the capture of the preferences of different stakeholders groups that are usually involved in the process, and gather and present the results that usually are different that are performed through the process, but they are usually analyzed independently. So the idea is to gather all those results and to try to do a more informed analysis at the end to make a final decision. Who can use the methodology? It's towards the owners of the buildings, the investors, or housing companies that plan to perform a renovation in a certain building. Of course, architects, designers, and municipalities. It depends on the relation. A scenario will need like the involvement of different stakeholders. So let's talk about just some particularities about the decision making in renovation. In renovation projects, we will encounter different challenges related to the existing conditions, the compatibility of the technology with the existing conditions, some general restrictions due to the owner or the investor, or regulations that oblige you to reach a certain point where you're renovating the building, or if you have some restrictions related to heritage preservation and so on. Also, one important aspect is the presence of inhabitants. You need to sometimes involve them during the decision-making process, during the design process, and even during the construction process. Sometimes you will see that some of the conflicts between stakeholders will be some of the challenges that you will have to encounter during the process, and you need to find a way to solve those conflicts. So we have different scenarios. We have a simple scenario where the owner is the same inhabitant of the unit, of the dwelling unit, so that's kind of easy. because usually this owner will be the final decision maker. But we also have multiple other scenarios where we have a single owner with different tenants, or even multiple owners where all the owners have the same right. So they have to reach a certain level of consensus to decide what the final. So this motivated us to develop a decision-making methodology to support the process, and we try to translate that methodology into available for everyone. We can talk about that later, but in general, we implemented the methodology thinking in 6 general steps. I will talk about them a little bit later, but we divided the methodology in 3 stages. So we have the first stage where it's more a descriptive stage. So we encourage the stakeholders to characterize the project, to identify constraints, to identify the objective, the real objective, the criteria that will be used to evaluate different alternatives, and so on. In the second stage is the quantification stage. So we will calculate the performance of the different alternatives, and we also will capture the preferences of different stakeholders to know what is more important for them, which criterion is more relevant, and so on. And the final ranking with the alternative that perform the better in the for that specific project, so the stakeholders can analyze in a more detailed with a more detailed approach and make the final decision. So yeah, I will now just present this short video to showing you the Excel file where we implemented the methodology and talk a little bit about the process. Let me, yes. So in the first step, you have will find the introduction or the general steps. The steps in step 1, you have the project description, so you will be able to characterize your project and select the objective that you have for your project. In the second step, you should enter the information regarding the alternative that you have, that you want to evaluate. In the step, you will select the criteria that you use to evaluate those alternatives. In the first step, you should ask the different stakeholder groups to indicate their preferences on the criteria, so they will be able to indicate what is more important for them. In the step 5, you will enter the results of the quantification of the criteria. So you will enter the performance of each of the alternative. And in step 6, all those information will be gathered, and the final ranking will be calculated and presented for the different stakeholders. So you identify the most suitable. So here we have the first tab that is related to the project description. So we have the project, we have a table to stakeholders involved in the process and their rights. So in this example, we see that there are 3 groups with different rights. Only the owner will be the one making the final decision. We have the table to describe the alternative, and we have on the left the criteria tree with different objectives and different criteria that you can just pick up according to your particular context of the project, and you will select what is relevant for you and what is not. Yes, once you define the objective and define the criteria, you can move to the fourth step, where you will ask the stakeholders to enter their preferences. So according to the criteria you selected, you will see here like different comparisons. They will be compared by pairs. So each of the stakeholders groups will have the chance to indicate what is more relevant for them. And yeah, through the slide bars, they can just make all the comparisons, and you will see what is more relevant for them, if the thermal or the and so on. And result for all of the stakeholders groups will be presented. So if in this case we have 3 different stakeholders groups, we will have the results there. And here this is more like the mathematical aspects of the calculations. But in case there is an inconsistency, you will be able to check it there. So once we calculate the weights or the importance of each of the criteria, according to the preferences of the stakeholders, you will see a table like with this all the results. So you will be able to check for each of the groups what is more important. And in case you are the owner, you can analyze the opinion of the others and try to see what is relevant for them, and if you want to adjust your weights. And then the weights are here. So we have the weights, and we'll be able to enter the on the right for each of the alternative, and combining those performances with the weights or the preference of the stakeholders, we will obtain the final ranking here at the bottom of this tab. It is important to understand that we can't replace the expert's judgment or the stakeholder or the decision maker in the process. So the idea or the tool aims at organizing or ranking the so the alternative are the best possible alternative according to the criteria and the preferences, so we can focus on those 3 and make a more detailed analysis more for the decision final. Yeah, I think that's it. I will stop there if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Gerson. Yeah, your sound is still a little bit unstable, but in any case, we do have a question from Ana Moreno. Ana, would you like to ask? Okay, otherwise I can ask. So Ana is asking, do you use the information delivery manual based on ISO 29481-2016 to describe the use case?
No. No, I don't understand the question, but let me check. No. Because I think that's more related to the BIM, but I don't know if that question was maybe related to the presentation of the BIM use cases tree, or is related to my presentation.
Yeah, perhaps it should be direct to Andre, perhaps.
Yeah, but because that ISO is related to building information models, and in the decision-making methodology is not directly based on the BIM model, because of course we are developing other tools that are making some calculations and some quantifications based on BIM models, but the decision-making methodology is just based on an Excel file, and we will enter the final results. So we are not directly using the BIM, but the other tools in the project, they are using BIM. So I think maybe that question is more related to the BIM uses tree.
Okay, we have 2 more questions from here. Do you want to ask them? Oh, 3 more questions.
Okay, is that me? Okay. Yeah, my first question is this your methodology applicable to single buildings or buildings at the urban level or a cluster of buildings?
No, it's a general methodology. So we try to define a very comprehensive tree that you can apply in different scenarios. So the idea is that it can be useful for a single dwelling unit, or can be also useful for a building with multi-family or multi-dwelling units.
Okay. My second question is, when you said scenarios here, I was expecting that you would say something like, we want this building to have, we want to achieve a positive energy level or zero energy level for a type of building. Or I was expecting something like, we want to perform deep retrofitting or average retrofitting. Now, with the objectives that you set, they were not measurable. They was like reduce energy, reduce, improve social acceptance. Now, if after entering those criteria and then you realize towards the end that the building is not performing as expected, how do you judge the performance of a building when your objectives were not really measurable? Because I didn't really see any benchmark in your in your objectives.
Okay, I understand your question. Yes. So the objective is very general, but if you have a specific goal, let's say, like as you mentioned, reduce the energy by 50%. So at the end of the, I don't know if I can, let me go back to the presentation. So let me show you here. Where is it? No, sorry, this is not. Yeah, you can see you will have all the results in the final table. I don't. No, I'm sharing the wrong. Sorry. You will see the final results. See the final results, and if you are not reaching that, because we have also one of the criteria is energy saving. If that energy is 50% reached, that right now they are compared between each other, like the. So you have the table, these are the different alternatives, and these are the performance of each of the alternatives according to each of the criteria you define it is for you. Here, one of the criteria is energy saving. So if you have the goal that it should be 50%, here we are comparing like between them, which is better. But then you can see, of course, if you your goal was 50% and none of them none of the alternatives that you're proposing is reaching this goal, you should think about redesigning. But if you already included, let's say, all the options or all the technology that is available in your market, and this is the level you are reaching, then you will be able to see at least which of the alternative is closest to that goal that you define. But yeah, we're not comparing the alternative against a benchmarking, but we're comparing the alternative between each other.
Okay, thank you very much. One last thing, is this one integrated with BIM then? with a BIM system?
Not really, as I said, because we have different criteria. I can maybe go back here at the beginning, and in the context of the BIM-Speed project, we are developing some tools that are based on BIM to calculate some of the criteria. But not all of the criteria, because some of the criteria are qualitative, so on the experts of each of the project. But we are developing some tools that are based on BIM, and based on those tools, we calculate some of the criteria, but at the end, here in the Excel file, we enter only the results. So like we are not extracting the information from the BIM to bring it here on the Excel file, or we are not like in the decision-making process is just based on the Excel file, but the calculation or the quantification of this of the performance of each alternative, some of those calculations are based on BIM.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
We have one final question, and this should be very quick. Dijana Lika, would you like to ask as well?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. The question is, how do you define the weighting coefficients that you use, and are they equal for all buildings and all types of ownership? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's we didn't predefine the weights because that's kind of dangerous. So what we do is to let like each project or each group of stakeholders in each particular case, they will be able to enter the preferences. So the calculation method is based on the pairwise comparison. So based on the slide bars, they indicate, okay, the indoor air quality is more important for me than the visual comfort, for instance. Based on that scale, we translate that scale into the weights. And if we have, for instance, different owners, we have one of the demonstration cases actually we had 12 owners, and all, because they were the 12 apartments, and all of them had the same right to vote on the final. So in that case, for instance, all the owners will have the same right, so they will be able to, each of the owners, to indicate which are the preferences and everything, and we will obtain the average of all of the perspective equally, because in that case, all the owners have the same right. In other scenario, we can have, for instance, the owner is the only decision maker, and the tenants are able to indicate their preferences, but they don't have the right to vote at the end of the final decision. So in that case, we can capture the preferences of the tenants, but those preferences will be more like relevant information for the owner, but they will not be integrated in the final calculation. I don't have the slide here, but in the training material we have one of the slides is dedicated to this consensus mechanism. So yeah, maybe I can share with you later that information.
Yeah, we do have the training area on the BIMSpeed website where you can find all the training material as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gerson. I think it's time for us to move to Josephine Cook, the BIM maturity tool. Josephine, please, the floor is yours.
Larissa, I'm afraid maybe Josephine Cook hasn't arrived, because I see the list of participants and he's like he hasn't joined.
Okay, let's move to inhabitants tools with Jos Noortjes. Jos, please.
Thank you, Larissa. Hello, everybody. My name is, in Dutch, you say Jos Noordzij, but you can call me Jos in English. That's good. Just to introduce myself, I'm a software developer and a BIM specialist at Demo Consultants in the Netherlands. And Demo Consultants is a consultancy firm in real estate information management. And today I will present to you the inhabitants crowdsourcing tool of the BIMSpeed platform. First, I will turn off my camera for hopefully have a better connection. So there I go. And share my screen. So let's go full screen. Okay, I hope you can see it. So let's go ahead. This video is about inhabitants crowdsourcing app. First, let's start off with a short table of contents. I'll give a short description of the tool first, and then a summary who can use the tool. Give you an overview of the main topics, and explain the most important topics to you. And just a note, this presentation only uses slides because of not spending too much time. And if you need detailed instructions, you can refer to the video on the tool, which can be found on the BIM-Speed Training website. So let's start with a short description first. The aim of this tool is to collect data of existing buildings using from inhabitants, and you can define question lists and distribute them. And inhabitants can respond to the question list using a freely downloadable mobile app. And I'm just noticing that it's automatically progressing, which I don't like. So I'll share my screen like this. I hope that's all right with you. So who can use this tool? This tool is meant to be used by stakeholders involved in renovation projects, which is already explained. It's about collecting data of existing buildings in order to perform analysis and to define renovation strategies. And the cool thing about this tool is that it uses a crowdsourcing approach. So the one who is looking for the information, he doesn't even have to go to the building themselves. They use this crowdsourcing approach to collect the data from the people who live inside that building. And obviously, you can also collect the information about the dwellings, which you don't even have to enter. So it's a very nice way of collecting detailed information about buildings. The main topics of this presentation are divided into two parts, and that's also because this software tool consists of two main parts. On the one hand, there is the questionnaire management part, which is used by the housing corporation or other stakeholders. And in this part of the tool, which is a desktop tool, you can create question lists, a couple BIM models, a release question list, and also analyze the results. And on the other hand, there's the mobile app, which is used by the inhabitants, and we'll address both these parts of the software in this video, obviously. So I'm going to start with the questionnaire management and how do you access the tool. As Nicola already explained, it's available as a service from the BIMSpeed platform. So if you go to external services, then you will see RE Suite by Demo Consultants. And if you hit that button, then you will be taken to the service. It's also available from this link on the BIMSpeed training website. And if you follow the link, you reach our SaaS page, our software as a service. And you can log into the BIMSpeed environment with these credentials, username BIMSpeed, password renovation. And just as a note, these slides are also available for review at the BIMSpeed training website, so you can look this up later. And if you enter this environment, then you come to the login of the tool itself. And you will need a personal account to use it. And if you want one, you can contact us at this email address, info@demobv.nl. But also, if you just want to have a quick look around, you can log in with this demo user account, which you see here underneath. And once you're in the tool, then this is what you'll see. This is the selector screen for where you can choose between 3 like sub applications. And the middle one is survey. This is about the questionnaire management and which we'll be using mostly. Then there's the BIM application, which is used for coupling and viewing BIM models. And then there's configuration, which is kind of a supportive sub app where you can change your language settings, manage user accounts and such. So I'm going to start with how to create a question list. And creating question list is done with an Excel template. This template can be downloaded from the software itself. And I'm not going too much into detail. All detail is handled in the video. So again, please look at for all the details. But just in short, each line of the template is a question. And each question has a question type, a question text, some possible answer options, a visibility rule, and a theme. And yeah, if you watch the vid, this will just all show itself. And this is very important to address that we support 3 types of questions. First, there's the closed question, where you can choose between a fixed set of answers. For example, what is your age? Is it younger than 50 or older than 50? We also have open questions where a user can answer any answer as text. And then there's the spatial question, which is really important for this BIM-Speed case. This is a question where we are looking for a selected space in a BIM model as an answer. So for example, the question can be, in which rooms do you experience drafts? And then the answer to that question, the inhabitant sees a BIM model and selects a space. And so if you mark a question in the template as a spatial question, then this will automatically trigger BIM behavior in the mobile app. So that's all about creating question lists. The next step is creating units for distributing the question list. And I've made this scheme just to explain what we're talking about. At the top, there is the real estate object. So this is the building that we are collecting data for. This is coupled to a BIM model. And under the real estate object, under the building, there are what we call the lettable units. So these are the dwellings of the inhabitants, so the inhabitant units. And we have to create those as well. And each lettable unit will be getting its own user account. So they can log in on the mobile app in their own safe environment, and they're not able to answer the questions for the neighbor, for example. And each lettable unit will be given a separate question list instance, which are created from the base template that we have created in the previous steps. So what we're going to do now is this part of the scheme, we're going to create the real estate object and create the lettable units. So this takes 3 steps. First, we make the real estate object, we make the lettable units, and then we make the user accounts. And I will show you very quickly how that goes. It's to create a real estate object is very easy. Nee, dank je. I'm sorry, I was interrupted. You just in the tool you go to stock objects, and then over here there's a plus icon, and you fill in the name of the real estate object, and the real estate object is created. So very simple. The next step is to create lettable units under that object. It's still on the same page, stock objects. Here on the bottom, there's this panel with this button bar over here, and there are 4 buttons. And creating this lettable units also works with an Excel template. You can download the Excel template with this button. And what we need to do is for each lettable unit, so each dwelling in this object, we need to enter some address information. So there's a street name, the house number, postal code, and the city. So you fill in a line for each lettable unit, you save the template, and then you import it again into the software, and then the lettable units are created. Third step is to create the user accounts, and you can just hit this button here. It automatically creates all the user accounts for the lettable units that we have just created. And once you have done that, you can again export this created user accounts, which gives you again a CSV file, but this time also with the username and the password for these inhabitants to log into to the mobile app. And you can use this information, for example, to create letters that you send to the inhabitants, where you say to them, well, we are doing this crowdsource investigation. Would you like to join? If so, you can download the app here, and these are your credentials to log in. So that's the units for distribution. Now we need to couple a BIM model to this real estate object. And I'll just give a short summary. Watch the video for the details. But you go to the BIM application, and then over here you see all the real estate objects that you have created. And on the right-hand side, you again see like the general panel with the general object information, but there's also a BIM tab. And if you click that tab, then you go to a source navigator with a BIMSpeed node. And if you click that BIMSpeed node, it will connect you to the BIMSpeed platform. It will show you this screen, and you can log in to your own account. And once you've done that, then the content of your BIMSpeed environment is loaded into the source navigator, and you see all the projects over here that you have rights to, and also all the IFC models that are on the BIMSpeed platform. And if you click an IFC model, then a question pops up. Do you want to associate this IFC model to this real estate object? If you click yes, then the model is coupled. One very important thing to mention is, in order for this tool to work, you will need a BIM model that meets the following requirements. We need address information inside the model. So that's for all the spaces. So each space should have a parameter BIMSpeed street name and a parameter BIMSpeed apartment. So in this example here, we see that the street name is Van der Woudestraat, the apartment is 7. And of course, this address information needs to match the information for the lettable units that we have created. And one more important thing is that we also need space boundary data inside the BIM model. So each space is defined by elements around it. And this is an export setting that you can switch on or off. And it's important that we have this data in the BIM model. The next step is to release the question list that we have just created. So again, going back to this scheme, we have done this. We've created the object, we've created the lettable units, we have the base template, and now we're going to make the separate instances for each inhabitant. And this is done by going to the planning page. You click the new button, you enter some settings, and as an object type, you select the lettable unit. You select the lettable units that you want to release the question list for. You select the template that you have created, you give it a date, and then you click save, and that's it. I see something blinking, but I'll just continue for now. So this is the part, the end of the part of creating the question list, and now we'll enter the realm of the inhabitant. So how does it start for the inhabitant? For them, it starts with a letter. So they receive a letter in their mailbox inviting them to join the crowdsource project, and the name of the app to download, their credentials for login, and also some small configuration instructions, which I'll come to later. And the app is available on the App Store, but I have to tell you that at the moment of this training, so right now, the final version on the app is not yet on the App Store. It is available in test flight. So if you want to start right away with testing what you've just seen, then you have to download it from test flight, and the instructions to do so are also on the training BIMSpeed training website. So please refer to that if you want to start right away. There's a small configuration setting that you have to do before starting to use this app. You have to go to the settings of your iPad, then find this application that you just downloaded, and under company name, enter BIMSpeed. And what this does is it ensures that you are connecting to the right environment, which also makes your credentials work. And once you've done that, you can open the app. So the inhabitant opens the app, and he enters the credentials from the letter into the login screen, and then they're inside. And the first thing they see is a user consent page asking them, do you consent to us using the data that you are providing us? And they can click agree. And if they that's the only option that they have, really. If they don't click agree, then they will not be able to use the app. So then the only thing is to close the app. So how does an inhabitant work with questionnaires? Once they are logged in, they will see this overview page. And what you see here are the themes inside the question list. So I've shown you very quickly that each question can be added to a theme. So this is like a bundled summary. And if you click a theme, then it will drop down, as I will show you. If you have answered all the questions of a theme, then it turns green, as you can see here. So if you click a theme, then you will see all the questions under the theme, and this is like a preview of all the questions. You see the question itself, you see if you have already answered it or not. And if you click one of these questions, then it will take you to the question page itself, which looks like this. So we have 3 types of questions, and each question type has its own UI. So this is for the closed question. You just select one from available options. This is the open question, where you can enter anything you like. And this is for spatial questions, where you have a button to go to the BIM model. And furthermore, there are some buttons on these pages. There's a button here to go to the previous question, to go to the next question immediately. There's a button here which takes you back to the general overview. And there's also a panel below here, which allows you to add personal observations. So if you want to provide even more information besides just answering the question, then you are available to do so over here. And I will show you, I'll also show you the details of that later.
Jos, 1 minute.
Okay, so when you enter the BIM model, then the model is automatically filtered down to the dwelling of the inhabitant. You can pan, rotate, and zoom. And over on the bottom, there are some filters. You can filter to see only one floor if your dwelling consists of multiple levels. You can also filter to see only spaces, only building elements, or both. And if you click a space as an answer to a spatial question, then it asks you, okay, do you want to use this space as your answer? And if you confirm, you go back to the overview page. And this is the personal observation page that I was telling you about. So if you want to give extra information, then you can add a text over here. You can give it a title, which is optional. And you can also add photos if you like. If you're done with the question list, then you can hand it in and synchronize, and this will send back the data to the server to work with. I'll very quickly show you how to work with the results. Then we go back to the desktop software again. So you go to the questionnaires page, and over here you can select a questionnaire and you can see all the answers that are given. You can tap through the themes, and there are some buttons here. The first one is you can manually edit the content. I'm not sure if you want that, but you can. You can get a completion summary, you can batch edit, and you can export answers to the BIMSpeed platform, which is really important, of course. And if you do that, then all the received answers will be exported as files into the inhabitants inputs folder, which has to be present under each project on the BIMSpeed platform. And there's always one file with all the questions. It just contains everything, and there's also separate files per theme. And if you open a file, it's a JSON file. This is what you see. So this is the theme of this file is about light, and then there's then it goes to the question. So this is the first question in the question list, and you see all the answers that we have received, and then it goes to the next question, and so on. So I hope that was 1 minute. This is the end of my presentation. If you have any further questions later, you can contact us at this email address. And yeah, that's it for now.
Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, please put in the chat box, or just open up the micro, and yeah, you can ask the questions. Great. And here, please, if you could ask your questions.
Okay, I have 3 questions. First, it was a great presentation. Thank you very much, Jos.
Thank you.
Welcome. Is your app compliant with ISO 27001 and GDPR?
To be honest, I'm not completely sure. I thought it was, but I have to double check that. And that's my honest answer.
Okay.
Maybe I can add to that shortly. Erasmus is the partner, Erasmus University of Rotterdam is the partner in this consortium dealing with all those kind of things. And we are checking with them all the time if it is compliant or not. But my honest answer, I do not 100% know either at the moment, but it is of great concern, of course, and we will make sure that is meeting all the requirements.
Okay, thank you. My second question is about inhabitants living in the property. For example, if I'm an inhabitant or one of the occupants of the properties, and then I download an app, and then I leave from the property to go to another property, how do you ensure that I don't have the information on that same property? Because I could become a bad guy later in future, and then because I have access to that property and someone is living there, how do you make sure that I don't have access to that data, to the property that I was living in previously?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, I haven't really thought about this this case, but what I can tell you is that once you hand in a questionnaire, then it will be removed from your app to redo it again. So you will not have unlimited access in the future.
Okay. Now, when you were showing your slide, I saw this term IFC space as one of the, I saw in one of your slides or in your questionnaire. Do you think that in normal inhabitants like me will understand that term IFC space? How knowledgeable are they in order to be able to understand this concept? Because I believe this too should just be something that, well, I live in my house. I don't care about IFC, but I know this is my room. This is a door. That is a language I understand. How do you translate between IFC and the normal language that an inhabitants understand, or do you just leave it as IFC?
Yeah, I think you're correct that there's one mention of IFC space left in the UI. But for the rest, we just use the term space. So it is a good point that you're pointing out. We need not to overestimate the capabilities of the inhabitants of using this app. For many people, it will be tough enough even to download it and to use it. So we really have to make it as easy as possible. But we do believe that by filtering this model down to only their dwelling, they because it's a 3D model, they can probably understand what's going on and selecting the right space. And if whether they know about what IFC means or not, I think that's not so important at this moment because we're not using that term so often.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have another question from Dimitri. Dimitri, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you for presentation. My question is about the content of BIM maturity. How do you ensure the quality of BIM maturity content that might be asked through questionnaires? Is it in your scope or?
Let me see if I understand correctly. Are you talking about the data quality of the model itself, or the data quality of the answers that the inhabitants give?
Because I'm new to this group, and it was question about BIM maturity, and understood that your questionnaires were about BIM maturity. So that's why I was asking this question.
No, I think you might be confused because we switched presentations. This right now is about the crowdsourcing tool and not about the BIM maturity tool.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe that's causing some confusion right now.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's really the case. I think we have no more questions. I just want to apologize. We couldn't reach Josephine Cook, the BIM Maturity Tools presentation. However, we have the training material and a video explaining how the tool works in our website. So if you access BIM-Speed.eu, you can have access to all the videos and training materials in there, and you can see her material as well. So I invite you to go there.
Okay, thank you.
And I also would like to thank you all and to remind you that we will send a short survey tomorrow if you want to give us feedback on the training materials, on what we present today. Please feel free to fill in the survey. And I guess we now are closing the session. So David, would you like to have the final words?
Yes, thank you. Just that reminder about the survey that we are going to send. We will share all the material of this session in the webpage in BIMSpeed.eu. You can find the training material tab, and then you will find all the material. And well, finally, we have been very honored as Vicesa to host this meeting. Unfortunately, we couldn't see our faces here in Vitoria and show you the demo case. That would have been a really great day. But we hope that this workshop has been useful. We thank you very much for your availability and your assistance and your questions that will make us improve this material. And we hope that we can see you there in the next 2 workshops. That would be as well very, very interesting. So if somebody has